In 101, I'm going to show you how to log into Moxi Present. I'm going to show you the account profile review area that feeds all of the information to your presentations. I'm going to show you an actual presentation received by a client so you can see the presentation itself. We're going to go over those slides. I'm also going to create a new listing presentation showing you the 5 quick and easy 5 steps to do that, and then how to manipulate the order of the presentation slides to make it so that it flows with your verbiage and the way that you want to have that conversation go. And then basically how to send it, where and how to send it. That's what we're going to cover today. In the next section, which is 201, which is the next training that we're doing, I believe it's next week, we're going to actually just do a quick reminder of the account profile section, but then we're going to do a little bit more deeper dive, show you how to add on a co-presenter. So if you want to have a fellow agent on the presentation with you, we're also going to add a custom presentation page. So that means we start with a blank page. We're going to show you how to add text, add video and pictures to make your own custom page, but you can also make your own presentation or newsletter. So we're going to go deep dive into that in 201. We're going to go ahead for today's purposes. I'm going to show you the beginning standpoint of how to get into Moxi to log into any of the Moxi platforms that we have. We have 2 ways to get into Moxi. The first is if you go directly to my.schmidtresources.com. Again, that's my.schmidtresources.com. That is a direct login to Moxi, which will take you into our platform with all of our tools in it. If you are already in schmidtresources.com, which you're used to hearing, you would log in to your state. So you can see here that we have it separated by region. If you click on your individual region, each and every one of those has a square right inside that says Moxi Works. If you were to click on that square, it gives you the exact same my.schmidtresources.com login. So basically it's just if you're already in there or you don't want to have to remember my.schmidtresources.com, you can just go to the Moxi square. In addition, we have a bunch of playlists of pre-recording sessions that you can access at any time. That is schmidtresources.com. We're going to jump right in today to stay on par with time. If you have any questions at any time, please put them in the chat box. I will make sure that I answer all of your questions and show you the answers to every question you have live. That way you can see it firsthand and you're ready to use the product as soon as we're done. When you log into Moxi, it may take you to your account profile section. If it does not, please look to the upper right-hand corner of your platform and look at your agent icon square. Clicking on the down arrow allows you then to see the My Account option. When you click on My Account, it takes you to this section where I am right now. What you can see here is this is your hub. This is where your information is and is contained to feed out to all the Moxi platforms. So this tab right here, Personal Info, Contact Info, which is your emails, Web Info, that is where your bio is. That is also where your website URL is showcased, in addition to your social media. All of these feed directly to your websites, to Moxi Engage, which is your client relationship management tool and your marketing campaigns. And it also feeds directly to Present, which we're going to learn today. So if something is lacking here or not updated correctly, you're just going to go right here above the header bar, Web Info, there's a blue pen. Please click on that blue pen, whatever you want to call it. And it's very easy. It literally allows you to then click on each level here, Web Info, Contact Info, or Personal Info, and you're able to update it right there and hit Save in the upper right-hand corner. Then you are good to go. As I mentioned, if you just scroll down, you're able to also add your social media, and this will all become clickable, which is very important because if you're going to send out a presentation or a campaign, you want to make sure that not only is your phone number correct and your email correct, but you also want to make sure they can click right on your social media icon and go directly to your social media. So that's the first section that we want to make sure you have updated because it won't prohibit things from working for you if they're not correct here. The second and final location, as we covered yesterday's session as well, is right here in the left-hand side. As you can see, we are in the My Account section because the blue profile area is what's highlighted in blue. Right below this, we have a tool that says Agent Tools. You do this one single time, and then once you do this, you don't need to do it again. You're going to click on the down arrow, and you're going to choose Integrated Tools. Sorry about that, click the wrong one. This is quick and easy, guys. You do this one single time. You connect your .loop account if you're not in the Florida region. That will help you work with Engage. And then the bottom section is relevant to all of them. If you connect your Zillow profile email that you have with Zillow right here, it will actually allow your Zillow reviews that you already have, your testimonials, to pull in automatically. They will show on your presentations for you. They will also show on your website. So that way you can let all of your clients do the amazing talking for you. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like today. But for now, in the Zillow profile area, this is how easy it is. You basically just type in the email address that you have associated with Zillow. So if, for example, in this case, our agent Carolyn didn't have her company email associated with Zillow, she had her personal Gmail. So that is the email that we would put here because that is what would pull in from Zillow. If you're having any questions or problems with your feed coming in, it usually is a profile issue and you can reach out to your ASC, RSC, or one of our trainers and we can help you get that situated right away. It's 9 times out of 10 a really quick and easy fix. If you're wondering why I don't have mine, it's because I'm not an active agent right now, so I'm using another agent so I can show you guys live what it looks like from the agent standpoint. And that's it. That's all we do in account profile. Again, once you've done it once, you do not need to do it again. That applies to all platforms. The initial getting into Present is very easy. When you go to the very top of our screen, our entire Moxi Works platform is listed here for you. So what you're going to do is if you're going to go into Moxi Present, you're very simply going to click on the word Present, and then it loads our presentation tool. Now, immediately upon landing on the landing page, you're going to notice there's a library. If you have never made a presentation before, this will be an empty library and you will not see anything here yet. What this becomes is as you create a new presentation, they're very conveniently and easily saved for you here so that you can access them at any time or even copy and duplicate them to make additional presentations. I will show you how to make a new presentation in just a couple minutes after I show you in the presentation itself. We'll jump right into it. But let's go ahead and make this full circle. So you're going to see today both the agent view and also the client view that receives the presentation. To do this the most efficiently, I've already created a presentation and sent it to my client. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take off our realtor hat. We're going to put on our client hat or potential lead. People utilize this to generate lead. They do presentations for people that aren't even their clients yet, just to show them in it as an example of what they could do for them if they become a client. But this also can be for an existing client. It's very simple in the fact that when they receive their presentation, it's very easy and it becomes a little bit, it's not difficult for them. It's very simple. It's simplistic. As you can see here, I've got my contact information here, and then you're going to make sure right down here, there we go. The only options they have so that it's not hard for them is view presentation, which opens that live presentation immediately. The other thing that we've done here is we've added a print friendly version. I think this is very important for all of you to do on every single presentation because it's very important that although we're in a technology-based time, we still have some clients that are not technology minded and it's out of their comfort zone. So I think it's a very great attribute of any realtor or any agent to meet that person where their need is instead of making them conform to what your technology is. So by providing a print-friendly version, you're allowing them to click right on it and they're getting the actual PDF so that they can look at it or even print it on their computer and visualize it in the way that they need. But for now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to view the actual presentation. And I think starting off with seeing it is great because then when we build it, you're going to know what the end result is. This presentation is seamless in the fact that when it loads, it tells you what to do. So from a client standpoint, you can see it says scroll down to start. Now from the agent standpoint, you guys view and see the exact same thing. So the benefit and the beauty of this is that they can actually see this presentation on their own without you. So you can send it to them and let them review it on their own. But you can also do it in the same format that we are doing now. You can do a live Zoom call, so you can conversate with them and see the presentation on your computer exactly as they see it on yours because you're looking at the same presentation. But you also can go even deeper with if you're sitting next to them and you have an iPad, it allows you to see what they're seeing at the same time. And the agent gets to dictate the conversation because the slide itself tells you and dictates that conversation. So it's a learning step process for our agents as well, because if you're not heavily involved in a certain community, this presentation will make you the market expert. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by going through these slides. It's really, really nice. It literally tells you exactly what you guys need to say. It's awesome. To start, if you guys can notice here, I've just got my basic presentation homepage. I created a presentation for Joel McHale for a property in Strongsville. You can see it's pulled my information in here. And what I'd like for you guys to do is to take your eyes to the bottom right-hand corner. This navigation is key to your success and a great flow of conversation. Instead of somebody having to go and just scroll and scroll through your presentation, which can sometimes cause hiccups, this allows you to seamlessly click the down arrow, and this is them as well. It's the same process for either of you. They can click on the down arrow and it just takes you very quickly to the next slide. Obviously the up arrow takes you right back. But my favorite slide option is this one right in the middle. If you click on this option, the 3 lines, this actually showcases to you in order all of your presentation slides. So the beauty is, I'm going to show you just as a very fast example. Let's just say we're going through this and we've taken about a couple of minutes and we ran through all these slides. And then all of a sudden Joel says, wait a minute, can you tell me what it said on slide 2? Now, instead of me scrolling through all the slides again, I'm very quickly, without the drop of a beat, going to go to my middle section in the navigation bar. And I'm going to go right back up here and I'm able to grab slide 2 or whatever we were referencing. And it takes me back there instantaneously. So you become a master of presentation because this allows you to quickly grab the navigation bar, and without even knowing what page it's on, you don't even need to know that. You just need to see the title, and it allows you to quickly maneuver back and forth as quickly and easily as you need to. So that's a great, great option for you guys to use, especially in your communication standpoint. Now let's run through this presentation. And I'm going to go through each page just to kind of do an overview. Just so you know, this is intuitive. It is interactive. It is connected to the MLS live. The information here is updated as of today. If you as the real estate agent update this exact presentation 1 week from now, Joel in 1 week can open the exact same presentation link given to him the week prior, and it will be the new revised and updated information from the MLS as of that minute. So this is a very powerful tool for all of you. Even think about it on the buyer's end. It's the same presentation process. You're constantly letting them see the current market, the current houses coming up in the market that day. So it's very, very valuable and intuitive, but it also helps you become very time effective in communicating. So let's take a peek. We've got our cover page. And this is just an example that I built. You're going to see how you can change to customize yours. Now we've pulled all this has been pulled in by the MLS. You'll see how it's been done automated for you. And this is your basic property summary page. Next, we have a listing location map, which is connected to Google Maps. So what we're starting to do here is, in a visual standpoint, look at our subject property. So this is the property that Joel is looking to put on the market. It's very quickly and easily right next to the comparative properties in the area. So the houses in his community, in his local community, in the streets really close to him, these are the ones that are on the market that have been sold. They are currently active or they're pending. So this is what we're using to do a comprehensive market analysis. The idea of what we're doing is, by comparing these properties, we're going to get a realistic idea of what his property value is as of today. Because you should all know in real estate that what the value was last month is not going to be the same as it is today versus as the same as it is next month. Definitely not the same as it is last year. It's also very, very important because Zillow does give out incorrect information. Over Zestimates, I know this for a fact. My father's looking at selling his house now, and the Zestimate price of his house is a good $30,000 over what the real value is going to be. So you are the actual live resource. So you don't need to talk negative about Zillow or any of those kinds of things. We can keep conversations positive by letting them know that your tools, your technology, our platforms are live information, and that information feeds out to tools like Zillow, but they're outdated by the time they get them. The information isn't live and correct. You're going to be able to help pick a correct listing price that's going to help sell the house quicker, and it's actually going to do it at a better price point. Now, this particular slide is a location map. So we're just looking at the houses that is compared to ours, where they are on the map. And when I say interactive, every one of these slides, every single page, you can click right on it and it takes you into the actual property itself. So as the client, they're able to look at the property and visualize what somebody's kitchen looks like versus theirs, which helps dictate that pricing both for the realtor, but the client as well. It's very, very important for them to have this option so they can scroll through the pictures, they can get all of the stats and details, but this just helps them visualize in a location standpoint where their comps are. And each one of them you can actually click and it will actually showcase that particular property. So that is visual. Next, we have my favorite slide, which is the side-by-side comparison. This is very pivotal because you are obtaining a way to give this to somebody that's going to cater to all mindsets. You have buyers and sellers, basically any people that have a mindset that they need data, they need analytics, they need numbers. And then you've got the visual receivers, right? They need to see the pictures, they need to receive the pictures and the videos. But then you have that mishmash combination where you need data, analytics, and the pictures and the videos. That's me. I want to have all the information and make it easy. Granted, you can get comps from the MLS. However, it is not as user-friendly and it is not as intuitive as using Moxi Present. This is interactive and this is keeping them in your systems and your website as well. Look what happens when it's presented in this way. I'm getting all of my information right here. I can instantaneously see that this house is pending, this is sold, and this is active. So I'm seeing what's on the market. So as a client, when I'm starting to look at what my value is, what happens is you start to allow them to feel like they understand the market versus you just telling them verbal words what the market is. So let's pretend that Joel, look at his list price, $519.9. If Joel said, I just redid my bathroom and I redid my guest room and it is just the fanciest thing I've ever seen, I want my house to sell for $600,000 because my cousin who lives in the next city sold theirs for $600,000. As a realtor, you know it's not going to sell for 600,000 based off the houses nearest to them in that community, and that community isn't the same as where their cousin lives. So in reality, you would have to have that tough conversation of saying, I feel like the list price is more like 519. An emotional thing can happen where they kind of can feel offended, right? They think it's just your opinion of their house. That's not the case. You just know the market and you're trying to stop them from overpricing so that it doesn't stay on the market longer. You're doing them an injustice by not providing them a presentation like this. When they're coming in here, Joel can start to say, okay, so this guy, this particular house is pending and the price is a lot lower than mine, but let's take a look at the square footage. Let's compare it to mine. Let's take a look at the housing, the pictures that are in there. This particular one right here is sold. Hey, that's a great keyword for me. I'm going to look at solds because that's what worked for that seller. I want my house to be sold. So I'm going to say not only did they sell it, they actually sold it in 39 days here. And this one is 525. So they actually sold it for a higher asking price. So they can look at the data literally right next to each other. And they can also, again, click on that property. And then they're going to start to have the ability to jump through here and start looking and being able to say, okay, well, yeah, but you know what? There's this higher price, but their kitchen is a little bit more updated than mine. I need to do my carpet. Then all of a sudden it starts that real explanation in their realization that what they want for their property based off their personal investment may not be exactly where it is today, or the opposite. What if we're in an amazing market and they're underpricing? This does the exact same thing where we can see what is sold and pending, and maybe we can up our price compared to whether it's a buyer or seller's market in your area. So they're coming to the conclusion with you before you way overprice. This helps stop that conversation of, okay, we're going to list your house for 20,000 over what I think the value is. And then when it doesn't sell, them coming back and just saying, well, you probably just didn't do as much as you could have done. Maybe so-and-so at this other brokerage could have sold it. You can negate that conversation from happening because you're pricing it correctly based off today's market instead of just a non-informed pricing quote. So you're educated as an agent, but then they are as well. And this is interactive. So it's not going to be the same kind of experience as you would in the MLS. This is more user-friendly. And like I showed you, much easier presented. In conclusive to that, you can have as many comps or as few as you want. This will just continue to go as many as you would like. The next slide in here is just status comparison. So some of these, again, keep in mind the mindset. We're just catering to the way people need to receive the information. The great news is you didn't do much to get this data, but you come forward as the expert providing it. Here, very quickly, by status, you can compare the properties in this visual viewpoint. Next slide is the listing overview. So this is just a different way to view it as well. Again, all of them are clickable. So you can go into each property. This is the price and days on the market. Please keep in mind, interactive means everything is touchable and clickable. Hover over it to find out which one it is. So if this guy here has been on the market for this many, 198 days, you probably want to go ahead, even though it looks like it's pending right now. Let's look at what the existing price was in the beginning. How much did they have to reduce it? What does that story tell us about that property compared to ours? If we've got a sold right here, which is much better, that was sold in 40 days. But if you look at this baby down here, this guy was sold in 5 days. So you're definitely able to look at what the market is. And by clicking any one of these tabs, it adjusts so that you can actually see the days based off category, days versus price. So that was that slide. The listing averages, so this is self-explanatory again, and it breaks it down into active versus pending versus sold, interactive, they're all clickable. Price and size, okay? So not price and days on the market, this is price and size, same thing, it's all interactive. Next is the pricing analysis. So this is just like an approximate market value, right? Based off the data. Here, right here, if you can see where I said type here, I'm going to show you this section. This is where, as a realtor, you can say your approximate market value, Joel, is $519,900. And then you would type in here. However, if maybe you updated the kitchen and the bathroom, we might be able to have a better price point at about $525,500. So you're just giving the comparison of what it is estimated as of today. However, if you want to put in remarks, if updates were made, what they could potentially put it on the market for, because you know that's a conversation with most sellers is, should I spend the money to update or should I not? So it just breaks it down for you, price per square footage, etc. Next slide. Net proceeds sheet. You can choose to have that one or choose to use the title company in your area. I would say most everybody uses the title company. But then we started off with the seller, right? Their house. That's what they want to know. That's the most important thing to them. Their house, their information, their data, the money that they're going to make or the money they're going to sell their price point at. And I need to go ahead, and unfortunately my mouse just died. Of all things in the world, I'm going to let that charge for a second. I'm going to see if I can manually do this. I can, thank goodness. So here's a great note for a realtor. When your mouse dies, you can still continue to hit the down arrow button and just still keep rolling. They'll never know. So the next slide starts getting into our company, because the first part of converting a lead to a client is not only showing them what you can do for them as a house standpoint, what they're going to get for their property, but the next step would be, now what does our company provide? Like, why are you different from every other brokerage? Because everybody else is going to hand them a piece of print PDF and say they're the best at this, they're the best at that. That's just what happens. We're going to clear the clutter, and we're going to do this in a classy way. We're going to exemplify why using us would be the only choice to make. The first would be our Cvx Buyer Profile. We, because we're with Coldwell Banker, have this massive platform that they invested a crazy amount of money into as the brand Coldwell Banker, that lets us literally find a dictated buyer for that seller. It helps pinpoint the people who would buy the property. That is huge. They are not going to know what Cvx Buyer Profile is, so this just explains it to them. It just allows them to know that Cvx uses big data to analyze their market and their neighborhood and prevents a profile to most likely find the buyer for that home. So it's an explanation sheet. Very important for them to have this. It explains to them that Cvx can find the age, the average education level, the average family size, all of the information that values this information to make these dictations. Now, above what it lists here, just so you guys know, as an agent standpoint, it actually is able to sense behavior of who is likely to buy based off what they're clicking on and going to on the internet. So people who are going to Zillow, going to Trulia, people who are going to real estate websites, those people are more likely to buy, and it's tracking and pulling those in connection in addition to the data that you see here. It's also going to find and showcase behaviors and then market together so that it works to have this platform dictate who could be utilized to potentially sell to. So let's jump into it and take a look at what that means. Here is the actual Cvx Buyer Locator Profile sheet. Just so you know, for a back-end story, it used to be a separate platform. So Coldwell Banker had it so you logged in separately to get Cvx. Now, the great news is it's already merged into Present because they have combined and merged with Moxi, which is amazing. So now you don't have to do anything. And cool news is that all this data is gathered for you. Everything I'm showing you so far, you guys can make a presentation in a couple of minutes. And all of the work's done for you by our system, and it's done for you through the intuitiveness of the platform itself. So let's look at what we're looking at here. This is the most likely buyer for our house, not even just our neighborhood, for our specific house. If you can look at the chart in the top right, your color match dictates who is most likely to buy. So those in black are more likely to buy versus those that are towards the yellow and gray are least likely to buy. That means for the client, you're showing them by picking you, not only do you have the tools to market the property to get it out there everywhere it needs to be, but you also can very specifically market to the actual neighborhood and the street of the people that are likely to be the buyer of the type of house you're selling. So as an example, you definitely wouldn't go on Facebook, let's say, and do a ad on Facebook for this property, and you wouldn't even spend a penny doing any of the areas maybe even that are green or yellow or gray, because that is not your most likely buyer. Your dollars spent are going to be on the black specific areas, and if you hover over them, I'm going to let my mouse charge up here for a second, but if you hover over each black area, the likely to buy within the 12 months that you see when it pops up over that section, it increases. So right now it's covered, this particular area is showing a Twinsburg area. We're in Strongsville. That's still a good, 30 minutes, 40 minutes away. So the closer you actually click on the house, the black icon near the orange dot that you see in there, which is our property, that's going to increase. You're going to get 60 to 70%. So it's more likely. So it's great for the client because they get to think you're going to sell their house better because you're talking to the right people. For the agent, you're literally not wasting your money. So this isn't just Facebook. If you are doing a just listed postcard, which we would love for you to work with our marketing team to do, you would not want to spend a cent to send it to a community or street that is not going to be your most likely buyer. You're going to be able to have for your own self the ability to come in here and zoom in through the Google map to the actual neighborhood and street, so you know exactly what streets to send your postcard to. You're looking at a great rate of return for your dollars spent, and in addition to that, a better rate of return on people becoming a client themselves to buy a property. We've seen this work time and time again. People have told us this particular slide has converted leads to clients. So it's important to spend a minute here talking about it because your clients love it and because the agents love it. If you flop over to the left, this just tells you about your buyer, about the people most likely to buy your house. And it does say most visited website, Google, Amazon, Facebook. So you're not going to spend your time going in the Plain Dealer or whatever your local print paper is, because they're more likely visual and online on those specific places. So we're helping you make targeted marketing for the right people. And you're also looking at the price points of the dollar amount they spend there. This is all kind of key factors in analyzing your buyers so that you're not just saying, okay, marketing team, make me a flyer, go ahead and grab me a bunch of addresses and send them out, and let's cross our fingers. Let's hope as many of them that got returned last time don't come return back to me as a bad address. We want to stop that from happening. And we want to start with great addresses to begin with. This is one of those ways you can do that. Next slide. Now we're getting into the story here. Remember, if you ever have Tracy or any of us on the call, we tell you to, explain the story, our story, right? So what we're doing with these slides is we're explaining to them the story of why we are the one that should be picked. We don't need to be the real estate agent in the background saying, pick me, I'm the best. And you're just coming off just not as a classy way. We've had more success by letting our literature, our presentations, our blue book, our presentation books do the talking for us, so that when we are communicating with that client on that day, guess what we're hearing about them? They're telling us about them, and they're not sitting there through a 20-minute consultation hearing about me. They've already got it through the presentation books. They've got it through their the material that you leave with them. They don't need that. Here's what they see even before they meet with you or when they're with you. Let's take a look at that key number here. This is very specific and chosen on purpose. If you see how buyers search for homes, 95% are online, okay? So that tells that client 95% of people are online, even if they're not somebody that's online. They need their realtor to be. So let's go to the next slide that I put here intentionally on purpose, and you'll see why. Coldwell Banker brand remained the #1 most visited real estate brand online. Do I need to sit there and be like, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, Coldwell Banker is the best, Remax, Century 21, Keller Williams, they're just not as good? No, we don't need to do that. This slide does this for us. The realization that happens here is, I'm a client and I'm sitting here thinking 95% of buyers are online. Coldwell Banker is #1 online. Why wouldn't I pick them? Why wouldn't they pick you, right? Our platform tools are landing these numbers and these stats, and this tells the story for us on why they should utilize us and go with us. Here's the next slide that goes right into that conversation. Where do we feed? So working with you as an agent, where does their listing show up? Guys, there's like over 700 places. It's crazy. There's so many. But what we're doing here is highlighting the ones that they know visually. There are TV commercials for Zillow, for Realtor.com, for Trulia, for HGTV. Those are the names they know. We want them to know by choosing you as a realtor, you are placing their house in all of these places, which starts to make sense now. How come we're so great online? Because look, our presence and where we feed everything to, so our company pays all these places for you on behalf of you and the agent or the client. We feed it to these locations and people are seeing them. It is bringing us in buyers. It's converting leads to buyers and getting houses sold. It's very powerful here to have these slides in here instead of you just saying it with nothing to back it up. Then we go a little bit into our company here. So it's important to have a little bit about the company just to make sure that they know how powerful we are as a team. This showcases not only Coldwell Banker worldwide presence, but us as a Schmidt family of companies. So this has the number of agents and offices. So here's what I start to tell people. You need to develop your power team. You're an agent, right? You can be independent all by yourself, but you're not. You have an ASC, you have a manager, you have a regional trainer, you have a regional ASC, you have us as trainers, you have a marketing team, you have presidents. Your power team is who they're working with when they pick you as an agent. So your conversation, your verbalization is that our power team is going to be assisting you through the process of this deal. And that's beautiful because even if you're a new agent, this power team is now your team. Our numbers are your numbers. So these are your stats. This is what you're going to communicate with them. You never need to go in and say, I sold 2 houses last year. That is just not a conversation that needs to be had. Our conversation is going to be what these slides give you. The next one that I picked is just powerful and comprehensive marketing plan. So we've already showed them where it's going to go, but this is a very quick and easy way for them to see what we're going to do and where we're going to put it. Keep in mind, people don't like to read a lot. It's just some people just see a big, paragraph after paragraph. They're going to skip it. This is intentionally simplistic so that it's bullet pointed, making them see the facts and they can move on so that they can establish an understanding of what your plan is. And if you're an agent and you're not great at verbalization of what you do or when, or you just don't even know yet, these slides help you formulate that business plan for yourself in that conversation. Next is video views. You guys hear this all the time. Video is king. It is where people are watching. It is more effective than photos. It's more effective than print marketing. It is just what catches people's attention the most. So if you guys can see in here, 17 million, 95 million, pretty amazing numbers here. And we want to make sure that when our clients know we're advertising, we're making a very impactful impact there, and we're getting an extended amazing reach. Now, my power team, remember I told you about this. This slide does it for you. You don't even have to come up with your own content. We've already done it. This is your power team for your marketing group, your support staff. Again, that story of the reality of who they get when they come with you. The benefits of marketing is just one of the things that I put in here because you have some that are a little bit more detail minded and they want some specifics. Don't just tell me you market it. Tell me like, what are some of the things you can do? Understanding this as well is that you have a marketing team. If your client says something in here like, oh, I see you guys can do postcards, and your client brings it to you as a request, you can just jump right into that marketing team and get that going for them. And then here you are, that resource point that did that for them, even though the marketing team's doing it for them instead. Next, staging to sell. I love this one because I have literally gone through houses where, and I say this example every single time, the cat litter box is in the kitchen. Very off-putting. It distracts you from looking at the wall detail and the layout. You've got different things that are just cluttered. Maybe the sink could be beautiful, but it's full of dishes. And it distracts from the reality of the house being viewed as the house itself. So what this does, it lets you, in a classy way, tell them the expectation of what the property should look like in order to sell for a great price at a lower on-market time. So it just gets this in their mind. Maybe they don't know what to do, or maybe they don't know what to focus on. This just gives them a guideline of what they can do and what that expectation is. So that way you don't have to be the bad guy saying, please take the kitty litter box out of the kitchen while you're staging. If that's the way their family needs it when they are not putting it on the market, then that's great. But when it's being staged, or when it's going on the market for a walkthrough, those kinds of things you might want to just take outside or put in the garage for a minute, just so that it just doesn't distract from anything else. That's it. That's it for that slide. So that's great because, again, it's about making you the resource, not the bad guy. Now, again, this one is guiding you step by step. They want to feel like you're going to take them from every step of the process and walk them through it. So this is gold. For the client, they get to see what you're going to do for them. For the agent, especially when you're new to the market, this establishes your realtor plan. So it allows you to have a guideline to follow and learn. So if there are part of these processes that you don't know yet, that's where you connect the dots and start meeting with your ASC, your manager, and your trainer to start learning the steps of this process here. Again, do you see how we're really explaining this to them? What we're selling your house for, why it should be priced for this point, and then what our company can do for you, where we're going to do for it, and how we're going to do it. You're literally leaving them with all the answers they need. So that way, when you walk away from that appointment, you're not walking away with them saying, I'll call you next week. You're walking away with them having signed the contract right there, or expecting that listings contract right then and there. That's the difference of being prepared and using a presentation versus walking in with a paper PDF of something that you might have pulled together on your own. This presents in a very beautiful way, whereas sometimes things can be lost in translation when you just have a copy that you just print from a copier. Now, the reason I'm saying that's because you're a marketer. Your business is to literally take people's properties and to market them in a beautiful way. So what you're explaining and letting them understand is that if this technology is what we're using, our platforms are high level, then when they pick you, that house is going to be marketed at a high level. Does that make sense? So that's what we're doing here as well. We're explaining that to them. Next is the last slide here. This is pulled in from that account profile section. So remember that part where I said you had to have your contact information correct in your bio? If you do not have a bio there, this is going to show up empty. It is literally, it should be a priority of every agent to make a biography within the first month they're here or with the company. If you have been here and you haven't made one yet because writing and verbalizing in a great way is not your strong suit, we can help you with that. We have people on the marketing team, or even your ASC can help you formulate that paragraph so that you can showcase why you would stand out amongst the rest. Because when someone doesn't know you, you are literally just an agent with all the rest. I mean, it is what it is. So a bio is an amazing way to kind of cut through the clutter and just give them a quick snapshot of you. This is not meant to be a resume. That is not what this is meant to be. Just a quick bio. So that should be a follow-up for anyone on the call today. If you do not have a bio, please reach out to your ASC, make that a point and make a contact with them to start to formulate that bio, and we'll work with you to get that done and in there. Next, if your contact information is not correct, again, it will not show up here. So we want to make sure that it's correct there. Now, the most important part, because I can tell them all the things. This is what your house should be. This is why the company should pick us. Now, I didn't have to sit there and say I sold 25 houses in the last 6 months. Zillow, because people most likely want to put their reviews there because that's just the name people know. Agents can have their clients leave their reviews in Zillow, and it will automatically pull through to show here if you put your email in the account profile section I showed you in the beginning. So what it does is it lets your clients speak for you. If you see here, if I click load more, it will just continue to go and showcase all of the reviews that I have from my clientele. Now, how do you get a review? Like, who do you ask? Have that conversation with your manager, because understand you're a realtor and you might not have been always a realtor, but you still have testimonials of who you are, your characteristics, your work habit, your ethic from a previous job, from a previous employer, from a previous client of something else. Don't think that the reviews have to be 100% real estate based, because the review's on you as a human being. So if you have come in from a job and you're this amazing multitasker, your work ethic is amazing, you're always on time, you go back to those people and say, hey, would you mind putting me a review in or giving me a testimonial? Then the client can do that themselves, or you can plug it in Zillow, and that's going to start to feed here because you're a person and this is a people business. The majority of this business is you having that relationship ability to communicate with people and multitask. So like I said, a lot of jobs before real estate have those skill sets. So get yourself going with your reviews as well. If you don't have any yet, or you don't have as many as you would want, start that conversation with your manager or ASC, and you guys can get that process going. So that was the presentation. Next, I'm going to show you in 5 quick steps how I made this presentation and let Moxi do majority of the work for me, which is amazing. I'm going to jump back into my questions here. It says, I am with the C21 office in Venice. This material is branded Coldwell Banker. So yes, so what we should have in every region, Patty, great question, is regional material. So Century 21 should see Century 21. And then Coldwell Banker should see Coldwell Banker. And now we have a new brand that we are now just launching in Ohio, Sotheby's, and we are going to have that as a separate platform as well. So if you're in Present and you don't see your region, or you see the other region instead, please reach out to either myself, JD, or Carrie, and we'll go into those permissions and make sure they're set correctly. I can tell you the last time we checked, they were, but you never know. It's technology. Things go crazy sometimes. So just let us know. We want you to have access and to use it. Great question. So now I've shown you how the receipt looks like. So as a client, how they receive it and how quickly and easily they can just click on the presentation and view it. Now that you've seen this, you understand what the presentation is. I want to make one more reiteration that I said in the beginning. Remember how I said this is connected to the MLS and it's live, and you see this email here to my client. I sent this to my client today. If I make changes in this presentation and I add other comps, or it's a week from now and some of these have now gone from pending to sold, you're going to literally see that data, that information change automatically without you doing anything at all. It will be the information as of next week and the link that you sent them last week. So this same email, even if Joel opens it 1 week from now and clicks this exact same button, it will be the new and updated information from that time. So gone are the days, thank goodness, in real estate where we have to give people 2 to 3 versions. We're working on one live version, and there can't be a miscommunication of pricing for that reason. Okay, so let's jump in and actually do the presentation very quickly. It's a very fast process. Okay, so I'm in Moxi. As I told you now, all we did to get into Present is we clicked on the Present option in the top navigation bar. As I mentioned previously, you will see nothing on the main homepage that it loads to unless you have previously made a presentation. To create a new presentation, in the top right-hand corner, there is a button that says Create New. So first step is you're going to click a button that says Create New. Now you're just going to select the type of presentation. You can choose one that helps to create for a buyer, for your buyer to create a CMA on potential properties, to find properties they're looking for. Today, we're going to do a seller presentation. So we're going to assess the home market value to see if we're pricing it correctly. The other options, as I mentioned previously, once you have pulled together a couple properties that your buyer wants to see, this buyer tour option will literally let you take those exact properties, link them together through Google, and create a virtual tour, which actually gives you directions via Google as well. It includes all of the videos and footage as well. So it's an amazing interactive experience that you can go to house A with your client, make it on their phone, open up the information of that property, get all the details. You can go view that property, then you get back in the car. This buyer tour will actually navigate you to property B. And it's the same thing. You can use your phone to look at the pictures of property B, go inside and see property B, and then it will take you to property C. So very, very cool. The last one here is if you're going to make, this is what you're going to learn in the next class, next Wednesday, Moxi Present 201, so part 2. This is how you make a personal listing presentation or a newsletter. For today's purpose, we're going to hit seller, but I want you to know that every one of these is exactly the same steps that I'm showing you today. So we're doing one training on a seller, but it's going to be the same training that applies to buyer and the rest of these. We're going to go ahead and click continue. So at this point, all I've done is I've hit create new and seller. Continue. Now we're going to decide whether we want it to be a blue Coldwell Banker residential presentation, if you're Century 21, a gold branded presentation, or if you're luxury, we have a new option now that lets us select a luxury template that looks just like our luxury option. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to keep it on default seller. Click continue. Now here is where you can decide if you want it to be classic, so it's your brand's colors, blue for Coldwell Banker, gold for Century 21. But if you choose this luxury option, it's going to brand it black. So our global luxury brand is beautiful, stellar, stunning photos, and it has that sheer black bar across it. The entire presentation will be branded luxury. So in reality, my price point for this property is over $500,000. So I would, in reality, click this as a luxury presentation if it was a real client. For training purposes, I'm going to keep it as classic, but this is just so you guys know this is brand new. We rolled it out a couple weeks ago. Now you don't have to make a new presentation for luxury. This will do all the work for you. At the very top, it's saying, who is this prepared for? You're going to put either the address or the name of the person you're sending it to, keeping in mind they're going to see this information. So if I put in here, I'm going to put in here Jessica. We're going to pretend like our new presentation is for Jessica McHale. Sticking with those McHales today. You're going to keep everything else the same and hit create. So we've really only clicked a couple of buttons at this point. And you might wait a second. Don't fret. It will absolutely load. It just takes a second because it's doing a lot of behind the scenes work. Now, if you can take your eyes to the top, you guys, this is why this is so great and easy for people who are not even tech-minded either, and the people who love tech. 5 steps, very easy, all right in a row, very present right at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The great news is you can't get lost. They're all always going to stay up here on every single page. And in addition, if you do stuff on the first page, second page, and third page, and then click the button, go back to the first page, all the information's saved. You know how sometimes when you back up, it makes that all the information you entered gone? This does not do that. This lets it go immediately into the presentation. So give me one quick second here. Let me check our training tab. I think we're right at like 2 o'clock and I have a minute here. Bear with me just a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this real quick. So to do the presentation, you're literally just going to take the MLS number and you're going to plug it in. What that does is it lets you take all of the data and it does all the populating for you 100%. So now the photos are pulled in and the information's pulled in. If you do not have an MLS number, you can just literally type the information in here and it will still do all of the rest for you. The next search bar, the next tab, it lets you jump in here and it actually goes in through the MLS and pulls all of the comparative market properties to go with it. So if you can see here, I've got a couple that are active, pending, and sold. The easy thing is if I want to add those to my presentation to showcase, I'm literally just clicking right on them and I'm clicking the plus sign, making sure that I have some of every category. If you wanted to be specific, you can filter by price, bed and bath, or you can actually select the filter option to be very specific or even reset the filters to include all properties. If you wanted to be very specific on area, you can use the Google map at the side to use the draw function or radius function to pinpoint and say you want to be in a specific area by drawing directly on the map. The next tab, as you guys can see, we're just kind of flying through here real quick. The next tab just lets you decide how you want it to show. And if you can down arrow here, we're going to do low to high. So it just means the order of display in which they're showing. That's it. We're almost done. Estimate. This is where you would then say you can mark it for this price, but if you update the carpet, you would, or the flooring, you can put it for a higher price point. Next is your actual presentation itself. It has created the presentation for you. Every single page is already loaded here on the left. If you wanted to manipulate the order, you could very simply highlight one of them and click it and drag it to change the order to flow with the way you would like. At the very bottom, the agent profile option has a pencil. If I click on that and click the edit option, I'm able to then hover over here and turn on the Zillow reviews. This is how your reviews pull in. And then I hit that X out there, and you're going to see those populate instantaneously here in a second once it's uploaded. Now your presentation is done and ready. We're going to show you how to send it, but I want to show you very quickly how to add a couple pages to it that are the company pages that I showed you earlier. If I click Add Page in the presentation navigation bar and choose Add from Library, we've made it very easy. The Cvx pages are right here. So if you want the buyer profile to show, you're just literally clicking Add. Bam, it's done. It's in your presentation. For the blue book or presentation books for the black book that we have, our listing presentation books, we've got them all broken down. So we have our blue book and our black book. You just literally click on the one you want. Blue is for residential, black is for luxury. And what's great is this literally goes page by page to mimic and be the exact pages in our blue book. So cbbluebook.com, or the luxury book is cbblackbook.com, or whatever your local book is for your area for Century 21. And what I want to show very quickly, every page that's in here has a title at the top of the page, as you guys can see in here. And what you do is you just decide the pages you want. See how I got this support team page from there? All I did in Moxi Present itself, wrong one. I literally went through here. I can open them up and click on them and view each page, but it's much quicker for me if I just go in and I look at the wording in here. See how it has marketing plan, why to go digital, bring more buyers. You just basically, here's that staging to sell. You just come in here and hit add. That instantly adds those pages. to your presentation. And it makes it very easy for you guys to have to do not as much work, but have a beautiful, fully made presentation when you're done. So now that those pages are added, look at the left. See how I just added the buyer profile map and staging to sell? These are now in my presentation. However, if I wanted them to be somewhere else, I can still manipulate it and move the place to the next selection. So it makes it easy to work with. If you like the presentation you've made and you want it to be the basic presentation for all your clients, what you'll do is you'll choose to hit Save as Template, and then save this as Seller Template or Buyer Template. And then that way you can always start with the same template and then just change that the MLS number, and it will literally take all of the old MLS data and pictures out, plug in all the new MLS data in that presentation, and then it will become for that new person. And it's amazing because it just is such an easy way to have less steps to do a lot of work. So if I wanted to look at the presentation, I would click View, and I could see it in the digital version that I showed you, and I can see the PDF. If I wanted to send it to my client, here's the last thing we're going to cover today. It's right here. It's the Send button. By clicking on the Send button at the top right next to View, I'm literally just typing in who it's going to right here. You put their email address in. And then what's great, is you can actually choose right here to include the, or here it's going to select it. Right here is where you're going to actually have a subject of what you want it to say. You can have your own message, and then at the bottom, you can actually have it selected to send a copy to yourself. So you're going to get the same email, have the same presentation. But at the top, this was where we add in the PDF. If I choose to send presentation here on the top left, it's going to be the digital. If I select the box, there's a thunderstorm here, so I apologize if you hear that. I'm going to select the box Send with PDF, and I'm going to hit Send. Now, bam, in a matter of a couple of minutes, I've created the presentation, I've edited it to be the one I want it to be, and I've sent it to my client. So as a last result thought process here, you're not only preparing yourself to be a better realtor to support them to sell their house quicker for a better price, but you're also working with the way real life is on the fly. You can be at the grocery store and have a presentation made for someone you meet in the grocery store line that you meet for coffee 5 minutes later, that presentation's done. So it just allows you to work as quickly or spend as much time as you would like.